Alright guys, I'm back, or I should say we're back, and I have my two nephews and their mother, and as you can tell the nephews look pretty much similar. Guess what, they're twins. Just like me and my brother. Introduce yourself here on the left. This is
Vance.
Tanner.
and
Mom, Yvette.
there you go, that's my sister-in-law, everybody. With her permission, I was in communication with her to do an educational video about their knowledge as 13-year-old boys that lived in Maryland and New Jersey, and just going over certain things. So now I'm going to have a little group discussion and get everybody's input with the exception of mine. Everybody knows where I stand. These are outside, non-biased people I want to get, or family I should say, that I want to get their opinion on it. And I just want to thank you guys for watching. So I'll give you guys a question here. Anybody pick it up, run with it if you feel. Does anybody here think more strict gun laws in New Jersey would lower the crime rate here?
Yeah, I'll go first. I don't believe that strict laws help whatsoever, because as we saw with Britain when they outlawed guns to their people, there was still more crime, but with knives instead. So, and there was many deaths because of knives. So I don't believe what type of weapon you're using really has a big difference in it.
Okay.
Or the law. You know, I think many people go outside the law regardless.
So you're saying regardless of whether there's a law prohibiting you from owning a firearm, whatever, they're going to do it anyway.
They're going to do it anyway.
Okay.
That's apparent. Yeah.
Absolutely. Otherwise, they won't call them criminals.
Statistics. Right. Right.
Okay.
I also think that even if there are more laws or gun laws like more strict gun laws, it's not really going to keep people from attacking other people.
Okay. So again, you're confirming what your mother said, and if somebody wants to do something, regardless of whether they have a firearm or not, they're going to turn around and do it. Whether it's
right.
Not to put words in your mouth, but
right.
like if they want to hurt somebody, they could use a car, they could use
That's
a hammer, a knife.
Right.
They
Exactly.
could use whatever they want. Okay.
That's
Very
right.
good. So you guys would be opposed to... let me not branch off, but elaborate a little bit more. Do you think New Jersey gun laws are adequate where they're at? Or do you think they should be lessened a little bit? For instance, like ammo restrictions. We're limited to 15 rounds. Do you think they should be lessened to, say, what Pennsylvania has? You know, the unlimited amount of rounds in a certain firearm? Or do you think they should keep it at 15? New York just recently went down to 7. California's at 10. Do you think they should be strict on that? Or do you think they should, in other words, should they keep it at that, or should they lessen up and ease up on the ammo restrictions per firearm?
Well, I don't believe that the amount of ammo inside of a magazine really matters, but if they can make it so that there are certain types of licenses restricting how much you can have, like let's say you have a spotless record, they could give you 20, and if you have a psychiatric problem, they might give you 8 instead of 20.
Okay.
Just sort of like car licenses, you need a certain type of license to drive a motorcycle instead of a car.
I think if you have a psychiatric problem, maybe none.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Now, just that you're bringing up licenses, and I'm just going to bring something out there. A lot of people would say, yeah, you need a car license. And why do you need a car license? It's a privilege to drive.
That's right.
A lot of people would say your Second Amendment right is a right. Who are you to put a license on my Second Amendment? So would you like to elaborate on that?
Well, can you rephrase that, please?
In other words, how would you like if you're saying you want to put a restriction on firearms with a license? How would you like if somebody said, well, I want you to have a license to have freedom of speech, and you're not allowed to say certain things unless you had a certain license? Do you think that's right?
I don't believe that's right whatsoever, but
Okay.
you do need a license to protest in most places.
Okay.
So that they did put a license in that.
Very good.
Right.
There you go. See,
That's right.
I had no idea about that. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm
Right.
not trying to
I don't,
push any of my views.
Yeah.
I'm just on devil's advocate out
I
here.
still believe that licenses are necessary because, like we see with many incidents, that it does have to do with the person's psychiatric condition.
That's right.
Okay.
The shooting, like a normal person usually doesn't kill someone.
Okay, it's a good point, and I know we're going away from the questions, and this is what I wanted, raw, very at ease group here. You keep talking about psychiatric problems. What happens if a person, great as day, totally sane, not a problem in the world, never had a mental issue, one day he snaps. His wife left him, something happened to the kids, or taking drugs or something, or somebody slipped him something,
Right.
for whatever reason, and all of a sudden he snaps, but it's too late, he already has a firearm.
That's right.
How do you feel about that? Like, how do you combat
That's a good
against
question.
that?
These types of things are really like unpredictable, so you can't take things away because one person ruined it for you by doing that one stupid thing or crazy thing or just snapping one time.
Or, I like that. I like that answer because you're basically saying you can't enforce a law on something that may or may not happen.
Yeah.
You
That's
can't
right.
predict what's going to happen.
Exactly.
So I like that. Okay, so we're not gonna jump too far away from the questions here. Tanner, would you like to chime in, or no? You're good right now. You're not.
Well, I also think that no matter how much you have, like no matter how much ammunition you have in a magazine, it's not going to affect, like, I mean, it could, but not going to affect the way you want to, like, hurt someone or something.
So all right,
The
very good
outcome
point.
is still the same.
So
Maybe less damage, perhaps. Or
well, I think if I'm reading him correctly, I think what he's saying is whether you have 30 rounds or a restricted 15 or a 10 round, you could still cause the same amount of damage, even though you're reloading. You could reload in what, 1 second, 2 seconds, and you could still create the same damage. Is that kind of what you're
Yeah.
saying? So it doesn't matter if you have quote unquote high capacity magazines or less or more restrictive magazines. You could still create the same amount of damage if you truly wanted to.
Yeah,
I
but
I think that's what
that,
he's saying.
yes, yeah, I mean, it's not the same amount of damage because if there are 20 people in the room and you can only, shoot 14, 15 people, then that's, 5 lives
Mhm.
that can potentially be saved. And so in terms of controlling the number of people that can be hurt, perhaps, in that sense, we may be safer.
Chances are the
the
person
chance-
has more than one magazine.
Right, if he has more than one magazine, then in terms of reloading and getting the rest of the people, then, I guess that wouldn't make a difference. But if he has one, then, if we're lucky,
Yeah. But in a realistic state, if somebody's going out to do damage or inflict pain or mass murder, for lack of a better term, they're not going to go there with just one magazine. They're going to go there fully prepared. Even though you do make a valid point. God knows if he goes to reload and the gun jams.
And it gives someone in the room
Even if it's
enough
just
time
one,
to
get out.
Yeah, to get out or to
All right.
or attack.
Okay.
back.
Now, all right, I'm just going to go to the next question. Do you think the average citizen should be allowed, because I kind of want to elaborate more on what you just said, but I want to ask this question first. Do you think the average citizen should be allowed to carry a firearm if properly trained?
I do think so. I think
Okay.
they should. It's the Second Amendment. We have the right to that, and I would hate for that to be taken away from me. I don't own a gun, Quite honestly, I'm afraid of guns because I don't know how to use them. I don't know how they work. Um, they, I know little about them.
It's a mystery.
However, if I choose to want to learn more and want to attain one, I would like the freedom to be
The
able
option.
to, that particular option to have
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Tanner? You think people should be allowed to carry a gun, whether it's open or concealed?
I think that people should be able to carry a gun, or not, will carry a gun, but it shouldn't be concealed because then people can sneak, like.
Okay. That's a good point. All right. How about you, Vance? You think people should be allowed to carry?
Concealed?
Open or concealed? Open means showing.
Yeah.
You could see
Like
it.
a whole-
Concealed, yeah.
Is
Concealed
hiding.
is hidden.
Yeah, I believe that you should be able to carry a gun any way you want, but maybe, like I was saying with the licenses, you could conceal it or keep it open based on what class of license you have.
Some states do have
Yeah.
that. Some states allow you to just open carry without a license. If you want to conceal carry, because that's the preference choice, if you want to conceal carry, you need a license for that. And then there's some states, I believe Pennsylvania is like that. If you want to open or conceal, you need a license. One license covers both of them. I believe that's how Pennsylvania
Well, I
does it.
remember with the Maryland laws, you're allowed to carry around shotguns and rifles, but
Mhm.
and you only need to be a certain age to buy them, and you don't need a strict permit.
Yeah, it's
But
18.
for concealed weapons in Maryland, you do need a license.
Yeah, because you have to be 21 to get a pistol. It's federal law. It's not state by state. It's federal law. 21 to own a pistol, 18 a long gun, they call them. Shotguns or rifles. It's a general category.
Okay.
All right, so I like that. I like those answers. I'm gonna start with you again, Vance. We left off with you. Would you ever consider owning a firearm, whether it be for hobby or self-defense?
I intend to own a firearm someday.
Oh, okay.
Not necessarily for self-defense or sport, just necessarily, probably for just a hobby.
And by the look on your mother's face, she's a little surprised.
I am. I'm surprised, but he's very mature, responsible, he's an intelligent young man, and I trust that he would be responsible. So I find comfort there. So, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not, like, oh goodness, I hope
Yeah.
he never does that. I trust that he'll do the proper research and know how to
Handle it.
handle that.
Okay. How about for yourself? Would you ever?
I don't personally see myself. I'm not inspired by others with guns I'm just not interested in having one right now. I don't know how I'm going to feel 10 years from now. But again, if I change my mind and I want to have one day, I want to be able to have that.
You want that
one day.
option there.
I would hate to feel like I have lost complete control of my own protection if I felt like I needed that protection.
Very admirable. Tanner.
I don't really feel like I would need one, but if I would feel like I would like to feel like that I would be allowed to actually own one,
Okay.
like when easily getting a license, and
No, so you, again, just like your mother, you would want the option.
yes.
Okay. But you don't foresee yourself pursuing it or jumping at it like Vance did, saying he intends to own one. You don't see yourself intending to own one?
I mean,
The option might be there.
it might. I mean, I might change my mind later, but I don't really feel like I need one.
Okay. That's nothing wrong with that. Alright, we're almost done here. and then we're gonna get to the nice surprise. Probably mainly for the two younger guys here. I'm sure Mom wouldn't mind. If an intruder were to break into your house, what would be your first line of defense? And Mom, I'm gonna keep you for last because you're the only female on the group here. Yeah, on the panel. Yeah. So Tanner, if somebody broke into your house in the middle of the night, and you hear a bump in the middle of the night, what would you do?
Well, if I had a firearm, I would not use it. I might threaten to use it.
Okay.
And if they would not leave, and if they tried to attack me, and I might have to use it for self-defense, but I would not want to.
Okay. Say you don't have a firearm. What would you do right here, right now? Say tonight, and God forbid, I'm just saying, say tonight. In the middle of the night, you hear somebody trying to break through into the house. What would you do? Do you have any preparation on how to handle a situation like that?
I might go out the back door and call the police, or just make sure that he or she doesn't see me.
Okay.
And I could call the police while I'm still in the house and make sure that.
Absolutely. Nothing wrong with that. You're trying to stay alive or not get hurt. Vance.
Well, if it depends what the person has with them. Like, if they don't know that I'm in my room, I wouldn't go out to see if they have a weapon or not. But if let's say I live on the bottom floor, and they come through the door right next to me, I would, if they had a firearm and I had a firearm, I would definitely take it out to defend myself. But if they just had, and take me to not shooting them right away, but holding it up to them and trying to talk them out of it, whatever they're doing. But if I see them with a metal pole or something, I'm going to try to run away because, it only goes as fast as they do.
Exactly, good point. But say you don't have a firearm, and whether they have a firearm or not, it doesn't matter. If they have a knife or a baseball bat or, like you said, a pipe or whatever, and you're unarmed, or you don't have a firearm, I should say, how would you handle yourself?
Well, the police, running away and calling the police seems like the best option in that situation.
Okay. So mainly you both agree that you would try and get your family and just get out of the house as fast as possible and call the police.
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. That's honestly, I got guns and I might do the same thing. Yvette, being the woman on the panel here and being a mother, how do you feel about the possibility or potential of something like that ever happening, whether you live here in Jersey or
That's right.
wherever?
In another place. Gosh, I do think about that sometimes, and I try to come up with like some kind of a mental plan of what my, escape plan is going to be, and I have thought of a few. However, at the end of those thoughts, I always kind of feel a little helpless because I don't have, that type of a weapon. But, sometimes I think if I have my phone next to me, I might call 911 if I can get to it quick enough. But, there's a whole lot of prayer, involved in the hopes that that never, ever happens.
Okay. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that's the end of my questions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. I'm gonna. Oh, I do have a question. I brought this magazine. I'm gonna show the camera.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna show you guys the cover of this magazine. Just the cover. You don't have to thumb through it or nothing. I want each of you guys to look at it, and then tell me what you guys think about it. Is it intimidating? Is it scary? Is it awesome? Is it, tell me what you think about this particular firearm. Here you go, Tanner.
Well, I do think it is intimidating, and it just looks very intimidating.
Okay.
I know this sounds crazy. I do, there's something about it that intrigues me. You know, I look at it and I think, there's a whole lot of work put into this machine to create this machine that can do a whole lot of damage. But I'm not afraid of it. If by just looking at it, I don't feel intimidated. But if it was pointed at me, I'd have to start praying.
Okay.
Well, I agree with Mom there that there's a lot of work that goes into this, but like in the end, it's a machine, and in the wrong hands, anyone could use a machine to do the wrong thing. But looks like a tactical weapon that you would have to have a lot of experience to even know how to use.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, and I did want to add that although I know that it can do a whole lot of damage, it could save lives as well. So I am aware of that.
Very good. Wow. I want to thank you guys. I've learned a lot. I do have a couple things I want to show you guys, and I'm going to go over some safety things with you guys first prior to you guys handling them. You guys know I have firearms here. You can tell by the bag. Before anybody touches anything, just like when I showed your mother earlier, we're going to go over some safety features and safety rules. I'm probably not going to show this on camera. I'm just going to let you guys enjoy it. No nervousness, no nothing. You guys can ask me any questions you have, and that's that. So, to you guys that are watching, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the educational video. I want to thank my family again, Vance, Yvette, and Tanner, the mom. And I want to thank them for taking the time. We sat here for, I don't know, probably about an hour, right?
Yes.
A lot longer than I thought it was, but it was very interesting. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.